Most people believe that drinking bone broth is the ultimate way to restore strength, heal tissues, and protect the body as we age. It's comforting, it's traditional, and it's marketed as a miracle for joints and muscles. But here's the surprising truth. Bone broth, while soothing, is not the powerhouse your muscles desperately need to fight one of the most dangerous conditions of aging, sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength. It begins quietly in our 40s and accelerates each decade after. By the time many people reach their 70, they've lost up to 40% of their muscle. This isn't just about looking weaker, it's about losing independence, balance, mobility, and even cognitive sharpness. Research from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society has shown that sarcopenia is strongly linked to falls, frailty, and even shortened lifespan. In other words, muscle isn't just about vanity. It's a vital organ of longevity. Now here's what most people don't realize. Bone broth, though, rich in collagen, is incomplete. It lacks the essential amino acid profile, particularly leucine, that flips on the switch in your muscle cells for growth and repair. Without leucine and high-quality protein, your body cannot trigger the process called muscle protein synthesis. So what food does this better than bone broth? Eggs, specifically whole eggs. Studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition highlight that whole eggs, not just egg whites, stimulate muscle protein synthesis significantly more. They provide the perfect balance of leucine, complete protein, healthy fats, and micronutrients like vitamin D and choline, all of which directly protect against sarcopenia. That's what we're going to explore today. Over the next few minutes, you'll learn why whole eggs are one of the most powerful, science-backed foods for building muscle and slowing, even reversing sarcopenia. We'll break down the brain and body mechanisms at play, the role of timing and frequency, and simple tools you can apply daily to keep your muscles strong for life. Because aging well isn't about avoiding wrinkles, it's about keeping the strength to live fully, independently, and vibrantly. When we talk about muscle growth and preservation, one amino acid stands at the center of the conversation, leucine. Think of leucine as the ignition key that turns on the engine of muscle building. Without it, your muscles cannot start the process of repair and growth known as muscle protein synthesis. Here's what the research shows. Leucine activates a molecular pathway in your muscle cells called mTOR, the master regulator of anabolic growth. When leucine levels rise in your bloodstream after eating, they directly signal your muscle tissue to take up amino acids and begin building new proteins. It's like flipping a biological light switch from maintenance mode into growth mode. Now here's the problem with bone broth. While it contains collagen, it's extremely low in leucine. Collagen protein is rich in glycine and proline, which are supportive for skin and joints, but almost devoid of the branched-chain amino acids your muscle needs. Imagine trying to start a car without the key. That's what drinking bone broth is like if your goal is to fight sarcopenia. It gives you parts of the machinery, but not the spark that brings it to life. Whole eggs, on the other hand, are naturally rich in leucine, about 500 milligrams per egg. Eating 2 to 3 eggs can provide the threshold amount of leucine that research suggests is needed to maximally stimulate muscle protein synthesis in older adults. This threshold is critical because as we age, our muscles become less sensitive to amino acids. This phenomenon is called anabolic resistance. In plain terms, the older you get, the harder it becomes to build muscle from the same amount of protein. That's why many older adults keep losing muscle even when they believe they're eating enough. But leucine helps overcome this resistance. It's like turning up the volume on the muscle building signal. Studies in older populations show that consuming leucine-rich foods improves strength, lean mass, and even physical performance in daily tasks like walking, standing, and climbing stairs. Let's make this practical. If you're over 50, aim for protein-rich meals that cross the leucine threshold, roughly 2.5 grams of leucine per meal. This usually means 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein at once, not spread too thin across the day. Whole eggs can anchor this. A simple breakfast of 3 eggs, maybe paired with Greek yogurt or cottage cheese, can hit that target. Compare that to sipping bone broth, which might feel nourishing but leaves your muscles starving for the signal they need. Here's a way to visualize it. Think of your muscles as construction sites. The amino acids are the bricks and mortar, but leucine is the foreman who arrives on site and shouts, "Let's build." Without the foreman, the workers stand idle. With leucine, construction begins immediately. And there's a deeper layer here too. Preserving muscle isn't just about strength. It's about life itself. Strong muscles mean better balance, fewer falls, improved metabolism, and even sharper brain function. Your muscles are like your body's insurance policy against the risks of aging. And leucine is the monthly premium you must pay to keep that policy active. So while bone broth may soothe your soul, if your mission is to stay strong, independent, and vibrant, it won't get the job done. Eggs, with their leucine-rich profile, will. This is the first step in rethinking how you eat for longevity, focusing not on tradition or trend, but on what your biology is truly asking for. For decades, we were told to fear the egg yolk. Cholesterol, fat, calories, all the things we were warned would clog arteries and harm health. And so many people switched to egg whites, believing they were getting the pure protein without the supposed risks. But when it comes to building muscle and defending against sarcopenia, this was one of the biggest nutritional mistakes. Here's why: egg whites contain protein, yes, but they are missing the synergy that only happens when you consume the yolk and the white together. The yolk is where most of the micronutrients live: vitamin D, choline, omega-3 fatty acids, lutein, and essential minerals. These are not just add-ons. They act like amplifiers for the muscle-building signal initiated by leucine. One powerful finding: when participants consumed whole eggs after resistance exercise, their muscle protein synthesis was significantly greater compared to when they ate the same amount of protein from egg whites alone. This tells us something profound. The body doesn't just count grams of protein, it responds to the matrix of nutrients working together. The yolk provides cofactors that help your body better absorb and utilize the protein from the white. Think of it like an orchestra. The egg white is the violin section, critical, yes, but incomplete on its own. The yolk brings in the horns, percussion, and woodwinds. When the whole orchestra plays together, the sound is fuller, richer, more powerful. Similarly, when you eat the entire egg, your body receives a symphony of nutrients that go beyond muscle building. Choline, for example, found abundantly in yolks, supports neuromuscular signaling, the communication between your brain and muscles that allows you to move with precision and coordination. Vitamin D and omega-3 fatty acids help reduce inflammation in muscle tissue and joints, protecting your mobility. Lutein and zeaxanthin, also concentrated in yolks, even safeguard vision, which indirectly reduces fall risk, a major concern as sarcopenia progresses. Now, you might be wondering, but what about cholesterol? For most people, the cholesterol in eggs does not translate into harmful increases in blood cholesterol levels. In fact, research shows that dietary cholesterol can raise HDL, the so-called good cholesterol, and support hormone production, including testosterone and estrogen, which are vital for maintaining muscle mass. So if your goal is longevity and independence, throwing out the yolk is like buying a car and leaving the engine behind. Yes, the egg white delivers protein, but without the yolk, you're missing the fuel, the spark plugs, and the motor oil that make the whole system work. Here's a simple tool you can apply. If you normally eat 2 egg whites and 1 whole egg for breakfast, flip the ratio, make it 2 whole eggs, and if you want extra protein, add an additional white. This way you're getting both the quantity of protein and the nutrient synergy that maximizes its effect. And this is where habit building comes in. Next time you crack an egg, pause and remind yourself the yolk is not the enemy. It's the hidden ally that turns protein into power. By embracing the whole egg, you're not just feeding your muscles, you're nourishing your brain, your nerves, your hormones, and your future strength. If this insight is helping you see eggs in a new light, consider subscribing to this channel. Here, we bring you science-driven practical tools to help you age stronger, live longer, and stay independent, and there's much more to come. When most people think of muscle, they picture strength, athleticism, or maybe just bodybuilders at the gym. But here's the truth that's often overlooked. Your muscles are not just for movement or aesthetics. They are a vital organ of longevity, as essential to your survival as your heart, your brain, or your lungs. Muscle tissue is metabolically active. That means it's constantly communicating with your body, regulating hormones, balancing blood sugar, and producing molecules called myokines. These myokines act like messengers, traveling through your bloodstream to reduce inflammation, protect your brain, and even support your immune system. When you build and maintain muscle, you're not just strengthening your arms and legs, you're strengthening your entire internal ecosystem. Now let's connect this to sarcopenia. As muscle mass declines, your metabolic reserve shrinks. Without sufficient muscle, your body struggles to dispose of glucose effectively, which can lead to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Energy levels plummet, recovery slows, even cognitive function takes a hit. Studies have shown that people with greater muscle mass tend to perform better on memory and attention tasks. Why? Because muscles act as a glucose buffer, ensuring a steady energy supply for the brain. Have you ever noticed how older adults who remain physically active seem sharper, more vibrant, more resilient? It's not a coincidence. Their muscles are literally feeding their brains and protecting their bodies from the cascade of decline that comes with aging. In contrast, when muscle is lost, independence slips away. Simple tasks, climbing stairs, rising from a chair, carrying groceries become monumental. And this loss of autonomy is one of the greatest predictors of depression and frailty in later life. Here's something else that might surprise you. Muscle also impacts longevity by protecting bone. Strong muscles pull gently on bone tissue, stimulating bone density. Without this stimulus, bones become brittle, leading to osteoporosis and fractures. In this way, your muscles and bones form a partnership. Protecting one protects the other. So what does this mean for you in practical terms? It means treating muscle like a daily prescription for health. Just as you wouldn't skip a dose of medication your doctor prescribed, you cannot afford to skip feeding and challenging your muscles. Nutrition and movement work hand in hand here. The leucine-rich protein from whole eggs provides the building blocks, while resistance exercises, bodyweight movements, light weights, resistance bands provide the stimulus. Together, they send a clear signal: preserve and grow. And remember, this isn't about trying to look like a bodybuilder. This is about functional strength. The kind of strength that lets you get up off the floor without help, carry your grandchild, walk briskly across the street, or keep your balance when the ground is uneven. This is the strength that translates directly into freedom. Think of muscle as your retirement account. The more you invest in it now, the more security you'll have later. Each protein-rich meal, each set of squats or push-ups is a deposit. Over time, these deposits grow into resilience that protects you when you need it most. So yes, bone broth may be comforting on a cold day, but when it comes to longevity, comfort food is not enough. Your muscles demand something more substantial: complete protein, nutrient synergy, and consistent training, because muscle isn't just about how you look in the mirror, it's about how long and how well you live. We've talked about what to eat, but here's a crucial piece many people overlook when you eat. Timing protein intake can be the difference between maintaining muscle and slowly losing it. This is where the concept of the anabolic window comes in, the period when your muscles are most ready to use the protein you consume. For younger people, this window is relatively wide after exercise. Their muscles remain sensitive to protein for hours, but as we age, this sensitivity narrows. Older adults often need to be much more intentional about when they consume protein because their muscles don't respond as strongly to random snacking throughout the day. The body requires a more deliberate signal to flip on muscle protein synthesis. Here's what the research shows. Consuming a leucine-rich protein source, like whole eggs, within about 2 hours after activity maximizes the muscle-building response. That's when your muscle cells are like sponges, soaking up amino acids, repairing damage, and laying down new tissue. Miss that window, and the response is blunted. Think of it like wet cement. Right after exercise, your muscles are soft and pliable, ready to be reshaped. But as time passes, the cement hardens. You can still make changes later, but it takes more effort, and the effect is smaller. So what's the practical application? If you go for a brisk walk, do a strength session, or even spend an hour gardening or climbing stairs, follow that activity with a protein-rich meal. A simple plate of scrambled eggs, maybe paired with vegetables and a slice of whole grain toast, can be far more effective than eating the same eggs at a random time without activity. Another key strategy is protein distribution. Many older adults eat very little protein at breakfast, a moderate amount at lunch, and then pack most of it into dinner. But this leaves long stretches of the day when your muscles aren't being fed adequately. A better approach is to aim for 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal, with eggs as a centerpiece for at least one of those meals. That way you give your muscles repeated opportunities throughout the day to trigger growth. Now let's also address a myth. The idea that it's enough to simply get your protein by the end of the day, while total daily intake matters, studies consistently show that spacing protein evenly throughout the day yields greater muscle preservation, especially for older adults. It's not just what you eat, it's how you distribute it. Here's a simple tool. Plan your meals backwards. Instead of starting with dinner and working back, ask, what protein will I have at breakfast? Build the day from there. If you can hit your leucine-rich protein target early, you've already won half the battle against sarcopenia. And remember, timing isn't set just about biology, it's set about psychology. When you anchor habits to existing routines, they become automatic. Breakfast after your morning walk becomes not just a meal, but a ritual of resilience. Lunch after gardening becomes your muscle repair appointment. If this insight is helpful and you're finding value in learning how to apply science to everyday life, consider subscribing to this channel. Every week we explore practical, research-backed ways to strengthen your body, protect your mind, and extend your independence. It's not about quick fixes, it's about building a stronger, smarter, more resilient version of you. So don't think of protein as just food. Think of it as timing medicine, a daily prescription that when taken at the right moment protects your strength and extends your vitality. When most people think of eggs, they think protein. And while that's true, focusing only on protein misses half the story. Eggs are one of nature's most complete packages, delivering a spectrum of micronutrients that go far beyond muscle protein synthesis. These nutrients directly target the processes that drive sarcopenia, inflammation, hormonal decline, nerve-muscle communication, and oxidative stress. Let's start with vitamin D. Often called the sunshine vitamin, vitamin D plays a critical role in muscle contraction and coordination. Low levels are strongly linked to muscle weakness and falls in older adults. Many people assume they're getting enough from the sun, but aging skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D, and modern indoor lifestyles only make the problem worse. Eggs, especially those from pasture-raised hens, provide a reliable dietary source of this vital nutrient. Think of vitamin D as the electrician that keeps your neuromuscular circuits firing smoothly. Then there's choline, a nutrient found abundantly in egg yolks. Choline is a precursor to acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter your brain uses to signal muscles to contract. Without adequate choline, that communication weakens, leading to slower reaction times and reduced coordination. In practical terms, choline is like the internet connection between your brain and your body. The faster and clearer the signal, the more precise your movements. Eggs are also a rich source of omega-3 fatty acids, especially if the hens are fed flaxseed or allowed to forage. Omega-3 cells reduce chronic inflammation, which is a hidden driver of muscle loss. Sarcopenia isn't just about not enough protein, it's about a pro-inflammatory environment that eats away at muscle tissue over time. By calming inflammation, omega-3 cells create the internal conditions where muscle can grow and repair. Let's not forget antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin. While these are best known for protecting vision, they also play a role in reducing oxidative stress in muscle tissue. Oxidative stress is like rust slowly corroding your cellular machinery. Antioxidants neutralize this rust, keeping your muscle fibers healthier and more resilient. And indirectly, by protecting your eyes, these compounds help maintain balance and spatial awareness, reducing the risk of falls, which are often catastrophic in later life. Now here's the empowering part. All of these nutrients are synergistic. They don't work in isolation. Vitamin D supports muscle contraction, choline improves brain-muscle communication, omega-3 says reduce inflammation, and antioxidants protect the fibers themselves. Together they form a comprehensive defense system against sarcopenia. Imagine building a house. Protein is the bricks and lumber. Leucine is the foreman who tells the crew to start building, but without electricians, plumbers, and roofers, the house doesn't function. The micronutrients in eggs are those specialists. They ensure the structure is strong, wired, protected, and livable. That's why eating the whole egg matters so much. Here's a simple tool. Instead of thinking of eggs as just breakfast food, reframe them as longevity capsules, have them at lunch in a salad, or at dinner in a vegetable stir-fry. Pair them with colorful vegetables for an antioxidant boost, or with whole grains for added fiber and glucose control. By weaving eggs into different meals, you're not only hitting your protein targets, you're fortifying your body with the hidden nutrients that keep your muscles, brain, and nerves connected and strong. If you're finding this perspective useful, if it's shifting how you think about something as simple as an egg, I'd love for you to join this community. Subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and become part of a group committed to aging not just longer, but better. Because longevity isn't built on one nutrient or one meal, it's built on synergy, on consistency, and on daily choices that protect your strength and independence. And eggs, humble as they are, deliver far more than protein. They deliver resilience. By now, we've explored the science of eggs, the leucine trigger, the synergy of yolk and white, the role of muscle as a longevity organ, the power of timing, and the hidden nutrients that protect against sarcopenia. But let's face it, knowledge without consistent action doesn't change much. And this is where behavioral science becomes your greatest ally. We know that habits, not motivation, determine the trajectory of your health. Motivation rises and falls. It's unreliable, but habits run on autopilot. Once established, they don't require constant willpower. They just happen. So the question becomes, how do we make muscle protective eating and movement automatic? One principle from behavioral psychology is anchoring. This means attaching a new habit to something you already do. For example, if you make coffee every morning, that's your anchor. Right after pouring your cup, you cook your eggs. No decision fatigue, no debating whether today is the right day. The existing routine pulls the new behavior along with it. Another powerful tool is friction management. Habits are either fueled or frustrated by how easy they are. If eggs are buried in the back of your fridge, cooking pans are dirty, or you're rushing out the door, the barrier is too high. But if you set out your pan the night before, keep eggs in plain sight, and maybe chop vegetables ahead of time, you reduce friction. The easier the behavior, the more likely it becomes automatic. There's also the role of identity-based habits. Instead of telling yourself, I need to eat more protein, try reframing it as, I am someone who protects my strength daily. This subtle shift is powerful because our actions tend to align with who we believe we are. When eating eggs becomes part of your identity as a strong, resilient person, the behavior reinforces itself. Behavioral research also shows the importance of feedback loops. Muscles give you quick feedback, better energy, improved balance, greater ease in daily activities. Paying attention to these signals, you reinforce the behavior. Journaling a simple note, felt stronger after my walk and egg breakfast, is enough to strengthen the neural pathways that make the habit stick. And here's a practical tip. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for minimum effective consistency. Maybe that means committing to at least 2 egg-based meals per week. Once that feels natural, increase to 3 or 4. This incremental approach bypasses overwhelm and builds momentum. Over time, small wins compound into massive transformation. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you thought about your future self? Not tomorrow, but 10 or 20 years from now. Behavioral science teaches us that the more vividly we can imagine and emotionally connect with our future self, the more likely we are to make choices today that protect them. Picture yourself climbing stairs easily at 80, carrying groceries without strain, or playing with your grandchild without fear of falling. That vision is your anchor. Every egg you eat, every walk you take is a vote for that future self. So don't just rely on willpower. Build systems, anchor your protein to daily rituals, reduce friction, reinforce identity, and connect every small action to the bigger picture of who you want to be. Because in the end, the science is clear. Nutrition and exercise are the tools, but habits are the vehicle that carry those tools into your life consistently. That's how you don't just learn about sarcopenia, you beat it. We've traveled a long way in this conversation, from debunking the myth of bone broth to uncovering the science of why whole eggs are a muscle-preserving powerhouse. Along the way, we explored how leucine flips the muscle-building switch, why yolks and whites together create powerful synergy, how muscle itself functions as a longevity organ, the crucial role of timing, the overlooked micronutrients in eggs, and finally, the psychology of turning knowledge into consistent habit. So what's the big takeaway? It's this. Your muscles are not just about strength or appearance. They are guardians of your independence, your metabolic health, your balance, and even your brain. Losing muscle isn't just losing power, it's losing protection. And the good news is, sarcopenia is not inevitable. With the right nutrition and habits, you can slow it, stop it, and in some cases, reverse it. Eggs, humble as they seem, are one of the most effective tools to do this. They deliver the leucine that triggers growth, the protein that builds tissue, and the micronutrients that protect your nervous system, your bones, and your metabolism. When combined with smart timing and consistent habits, they become more than food. They become a daily investment in resilience. Here's my challenge to you. Tomorrow morning, don't just reach for coffee and toast. Make yourself 2 or 3 whole eggs. Anchor that meal to an existing habit, like after your walk or your morning stretch. Notice how you feel. Stronger, more focused, more energized. Then do it again the next day. Watch how small, consistent actions accumulate into a body that carries you with strength and dignity into the decades ahead. If today's message gave you new tools and new perspective, I'd love for you to join this community. Like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the next conversation. Together, we're building not just knowledge, but a culture of strength, independence, and vitality. Because in the end, aging well isn't about avoiding the years. It's about entering them with power, presence, and purpose. And your muscles are the foundation.